Good afternoon, fellow Plexers. Today's Plex video is going to be kind of a kitchen sink video. I'm going to include a lot of things. Let me start off with disabling notifications on my computer. So what we're going to do is we're going to use Makemkv to rip a Blu-ray disc. We're then going to use Mkvtoolnix to show you how to remove any extra audio or subtitle tracks instead of having to figure out how to do it in Makemkv. And I'll show you why it's easier to just remove them afterwards. Then we will show how to convert it with Handbrake to an NVENC or a quick sync conversion. Now I have a NVIDIA 3060 video card in my system, and I also have an i9 processor with the iGPU involved, so I can do it both ways. And I'm going to frequently pause and restart this video because I have a cough I can't get rid of due to allergies, and I can't have you hear me hacking through the whole video. So I'll pause the video during the rip, and I'll pause it during the conversion, so we're not sitting here watching the clock tick by for each, but I'll let you know how long it takes overall. And the last thing we'll do is we'll use Filebot to rename the rip media and to grab optional SRT subtitles if we want to, or if you want to. So a lot of discs will have PGS subtitles or VOS subtitles, and they are not the most compatible across the whole range of Plex client devices. .SRT subtitles are very compliant and compatible, and usually don't cause a transcode, and sometimes even when they're turned on, dashboard won't even report that they're turned on, depending on the circumstances. Which I don't know why that is. It's just something I've known about for about a year now. Alright, so let's get into it with Mkvtoolnix. Oh, before we get into it, let me just show you what we're going to be using. So this is the DVD. You'll see I purchased it last fall. It's an Ultra HD version and a Blu-ray copy. We are going to use the Blu-ray copy. My Blu-ray drive is not flashed to get the 4K UHD videos. And then we'll use Makemkv and Mkvtoolnix, Handbrake, and lastly Filebot. So now we can get started. And I'm running Elementary OS, which is a Linux desktop based on Ubuntu. Well, let me start fresh. Let me pop my disk out. So the disk is in. I've closed the tray. Makemkv has this little animated icon that spins, and you can wait for it to finish or just click on it now while it's working. In this part, it's going to identify what's on the disk. Well, maybe we have to click it. Sorry, I had to wait for it to finish before I clicked it. So it's going to read the disk and identify what's on it, and my version of Makemkv is paid for. Okay, so here's the first choice we have to make. What are you going to keep? I know this is the video file I want. All the rest of these are accessory videos. You may or may not want them, so you can uncheck them. I'm going to leave them checked. And if you want to, you can try to determine which subtitles you want here. But I'm going to leave them all, and that way I can demonstrate how to remove unneeded subtitles or even unneeded audio tracks through Mkvtoolnix. And you'll see we've got extra audio tracks too. One of this model track I think is a commentary track. and maybe all the other mono tracks are different languages. So we'll leave them all in here for now. So once you get to this screen, it's as easy as clicking this icon. So by default, it's going to create a Christmas Story folder in my default videos folder. So I'm just going to click yes and let it do its thing until we see kind of an estimated time, and then I'll pause the video. Or I could pause the video now and pop back in. Oh, no estimated time yet. I'm watching two screens here, even though you only see one. All right, I'll just pause the video, and oh, there it is. Remaining time, 54 minutes. So I'll come back once we're close. And we're back. It took 29 minutes and 14 seconds to convert. So we can be done with we can be done with Makemkv now. And let's look at the files that were created. So here's the directory, and here's all the files. So we know this is the conversion, and the rest are extras. So let me just open this up and pause it real quick in VLC. I don't want to play it because I'll risk a copyright strike on YouTube. So if we go into the audio tracks, we'll see that there's 3 English tracks, 2 Spanish tracks, and 1 Portuguese track. And then if we look at the subtitles, we'll see an English subtitle, a French, 2 Spanish ones, a Portuguese, another Spanish, and another Spanish. So I would imagine that one of these extra Spanish ones might be a commentary track. I don't really know. I'm not going to investigate that. So if we go back to our original story, and let me just rename this quickly. We go back to this and we open it up in Mkvtoolnix. We will see that we can manipulate what's inside the container file. So we have the main video file, and then we have the main audio file, and then we have a secondary audio file, and then we have the remaining audio files. And you'll see the language is coded in this column, and then you'll see the PGS subtitles. Now my recommendation is to ditch the PGS subtitles, to simply uncheck them and then get an external SRT subtitle or subtitles from a site like Open Subtitles or Subscene. Later in the video I'll show you how Filebot can look for a heuristically matched subtitle, but you're going to get either a default subtitle or a hearing impaired. There's no way to tell Filebot you want one or the other, or let alone a forced subtitle for foreign audio sections. And then you can do the same thing with the extra audio tracks. And if I hit start multiplexing, it'd take maybe 2-3 minutes for a file this size to resave the container file under a new name. So let's do that. And you'll see the progress bar happening down here. It's quite quick. It's probably not even going to take 60 seconds. And you'll see the temporary file here, which will have a new file name once it's finished. All right, we're almost to 80%. Alright, Mkvtoolnix has re-zipped the container file and made the changes that we requested. So it kind of gave it a funny name. Let's just call it 1. So now if we open this back up and pause it, oh, I'm sorry. I think this was the original file. This is the new one. So we'll pause that. You'll see it's missing everything except for the main audio track, and all the subtitle tracks are gone. So if you want to replace your subtitles and get rid of extra audio tracks, it's really quick to do it in Mkvtoolnix. You don't have to muck around and make Mkv to make those changes. You can just rip it and then make those changes. Now you'll have to open up each of these individual files to see what they are, but you could add some of these as extras to your movie if you wanted. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to get rid of everything except for the main rip. Let's see. So the next thing will be conversion in Handbrake. Oh, before I finish up with Mkvtoolnix, if you come across a video that's already been processed and maybe the English audio track hasn't been labeled properly, maybe this section is blank, you can assign the language here, and you can even mark if it's a default track. Same thing with subtitles. You might find a media piece with .srt subtitles embedded into it, but they may not be flagged properly. So if you know one of them is the forced subtitle track, you can click yes for the forced flag. And if you wanted to know what these audio languages actually were, you could temporarily give them a funky name like DTS English or AC3 English, and you could play those, or Spanish. You could kind of give them a tag here that you could recognize later when you open it up in VLC or your general media player. That extra stuff won't affect Plex. Plex will follow these flags. All right, so let's move on to Handbrake. So I'm going to right click and open with Handbrake. I'm sorry, Handbrake opened off screen. So Handbrake opens with this general preset. And I'm going to switch to hardware, and I'm just going to pick the NVIDIA 1080p preset. Now if I wanted to carry forth a subtitle or two, I'd have to go to the subtitle tab and add it. So I'm just going to add this first one at the top of the list. And just for the time being, I'm going to carry forth the PGS. Hit save, and then it's a matter of just hitting start. But you can adjust other issues or other filters, so to speak. So the video encoder is H.265 for the NVIDIA encoding. The audio is already grabbing that best audio track to start with, and you could sub in one of the other ones if you wanted to. So I'm just going to hit start. And once we get an estimate of how long this will take, we'll pause the video again. Alright, so the estimate is 6 minutes and 40 seconds. So we'll pick back up once the conversion is done. And the conversion by default is going to go into just my regular media or video folder on my Linux desktop. Alright, so we'll pick this back up in a few. Okay, so we're almost done, and this hasn't taken that long, about 6-7 minutes, and this is through an NVIDIA 3060 GPU. Alright, I turned off my notifications so my little Handbrake symbol didn't come on, but we are done. So, if I now look here in the folder, oh, I'm sorry, let's get rid of this. This was from a little test run. I have a 3.4 gigabyte file. So let me move this into this folder. Now let me rename these a little bit. So we know which is which. Let's do the re-encoding one more time. And this time we will pick hardware. And we will pick the Quick Sync QSV 1080p. And this time we won't grab the subtitle track. But I do want to show you this. Under the video tab, Handbrake is now using a AV1 encoder for this preset. Now I could change this to H265 here, but that's going to be a software re-encode and not a hardware one. So the software re-encode will take about 30 minutes and this will be much quicker. So we'll pop back in when this is done. Let's see how long it's going to take first of all. Well, I haven't started it. Overwrite. The encode failed. So, it's because I renamed the original. Let's start that again. So all my videos are live with very little prep beforehand. That way I figure if I get stuck doing something like I just did, everyone else will learn by me figuring out what's going on. Alright, I forgot about the cue that Handbrake has, so let's start this one more time. Hardware, QVC, 1080p, no subs. Now let's see how long the estimate is. Alright, so it's quicker than the NVIDIA GPU re-encoding, but not by much. 5 minutes. So we'll come back when that's ready. Alright, we have only a little bit left. We're at 85% and this is going to finish within a minute probably. So Handbrake is great. Handbrake is free and you can do a lot with Handbrake, and you can customize whatever you want in it to get the results you want for your server. Now I like a movie to have about a 3 to a 5 megabit per second bit rate. That's the sweet spot for me. And let me see if I can do this without giving away the user's name. I got a friend who's streaming a Scooby-Doo cartoon or movie right now for her kids. And for this kind of content, I like about 3 megabits per second. That's perfect for my server. I keep 4K for myself. I don't share it with my friends and family. And everybody on my server, friends and family, are happy with my 720p content. I have a lot of TV shows that are, movies are 1080p content. And lots of my TV shows are 720p with maybe a little bit higher bit rate for each episode. Alright, so that is done. And we no longer need Handbrake. So let's grab this and put it with the original and the NVIDIA conversion. Sometimes it's difficult to engage the brain and the mouth at the same time. Alright, so this is, we'll call that QVC. Okay, so we have 3 different versions now. We've got the conversions, and let's open this one up quickly and pause it so there's no copyright strike. And you'll see we've got the subtitle. And I don't know if I can actually show the subtitle and avoid a copyright strike, so I won't. So now, this one still lists a subtitle, but it's not there. I don't know why it's there. And of course, there's no audio track besides the main one. So I can't right-click on an MP4 file and open it in Mkvtoolnix but I can drag it in. So you'll see we only have the audio track, no subtitle. I don't know why VLC reports it, but once I rename this file, it won't report it. So if we ditch this, and we drag the NVIDIA conversion in, you'll see we actually have, no, we're missing the subtitle there too. Didn't carry forth. Well, I don't know why that happened, and I can't go back and fix it now. So you'll have to play around with Handbrake to get the subtitles to pass through. I must have did something wrong. So now we will use Filebot to rename these. So I'm going to open it in Filebot. I'm going to open the whole folder. And I can create structure with Filebot. Filebot's latest version 5, and we're now on 5.0.3 because they had some bug fixes to take care of. If you install Filebot fresh, you'll see the default expressions by clicking this icon. Because I have custom expressions, I have to hold the Shift key, but you can just pick Organize Movies for Plex without doing any setup to Filebot. Alright, so it wants to know what movie it is, so that's correct. And we have to tell it 3 times, once for each. And Filebot wants to rename all these movies the same, and it wants to move it to my media folder on my computer inside a movies directory, inside a Christmas Story 1972 folder that also has the TMDB ID number. Now it can't do all 3 because it wants to name all 3 the same. So let's do this one more time. If you were using an old version of Filebot and didn't have any custom expressions, you'd simply click Match and you click the movie database. Oh, what did I do wrong? Let's see, match. Oh, I was in episode mode. I got to drop down to the movie mode and pick the same thing. So we'll identify the movie 3 times again. And again, it wants to rename it the same way in a basic Plex compliancy of the movie just being named for its entry at TMDB. So lastly, we'll use my custom expression. Now I've got other Filebot videos. I think my last one showed this expression. So I'm going to rename it in its current location without creating a folder. And because I also have media info installed alongside Filebot, my expression is going to do a bunch of things. It's going to add the TMDB database number, and this will be added to the folder if I use the other expression. I'm stealing a rule out of the Plex TV show library naming guide. One of the most recent additions to that guide, Plex decided to have us put extra information into brackets, and it has the series scanner ignore those brackets. That is not a rule in a movie library. I anticipate it might be one day. I might be wrong too. So I'm putting extra media characteristics into brackets. Now my expression also looks inside the container file for either unlabeled or English subtitles, and it will add this to the file name too. So our original file is finding the embedded subtitles and the file names being flagged also in brackets. So if I click rename, we will have lost our original file names, but we already knew from looking at Handbrake that the AVI one was the quick sync conversion and the HEVC one was the NVIDIA conversion. Now basically it took about the same amount of time for each, and it's creating similar file sizes. And again, this is the original and it's flagged appropriately, so I can just look at the video and tell media characteristics about it. Plex is happy with it. Now if I took one more step and I used my full expression, you see it's creating the folder structure. All three are going to end up in the same folder because it's calling for it. And you're basically all set. You can even write a custom expression that moves it to your Plex library automatically. I don't like doing that. I want to see the finished product. I want to look for issues before it's just copied into my Plex folder and Plex scans it. So lastly, we'll show this with Filebot. So because this already has embedded subtitles, I'll remove it from the list. So if you click on the subtitle icon, you can connect a free excuse me. You can connect a free Open Subtitles account to Filebot, and you get to search for up to 200 subtitles a day before you have to pay for an account at Open Subtitles. Now, I prefer using Subscene when I have to manually source a subtitle, but I'll run it through Filebot first with the Open Subtitle connection because 90% of the time it's a matched subtitle. I don't know how it works, but there's some sort of heuristic thing where it compares known subtitles with known information about the media file they came from, and so it improves the rate of a successful match. The only thing you can't do is specify whether you get a default subtitle, a hearing impaired one, or a forced subtitle for foreign audio sections. I don't know if I've ever gotten a forced subtitle by mistake this way, but every once in a while you'll get the hearing impaired version, which I don't mind. You simply open the file up and check it and rename it slightly before adding it to your server. So this is real cool. You can get a free account, register a free account at Open Subtitles, and it's a 200 API limit daily, which means it's a lot of subtitles you can search for. And you can actually use Filebot with a custom expression to match however you've named your media. At least if your movies or episodes are consistently named across the board, you can create a Filebot expression that doesn't rename them and will just pull the subtitles. So if we go to the tools here for the settings, and we go down to the bottom to post-process, we can simply fetch subtitle files. All right, so I'm going to use my same expression that I used before. And you see how the green dot appeared? Filebot's not going to rename it because it's the same name. So again, if you created that custom expression for however you name your media, you'll just be using Filebot to search for subtitles. So it's renamed two files, it's looking up the subtitles, and it's added two subtitles. All right, so I'm going to do something on camera, because like I said, I make mistakes. Turn off the subtitle setting if you're not going to be looking for subtitles by default before you close Filebot. Okay, so we have two identical subtitles, it looks like, for each version, which it should be, it's the same movie. So let's open one up. It opened off screen in my text editor, and you can see these came from Open Subtitles. Some people hate this, they think it's advertising. Well, look, highlight it and delete it. It's as simple as that. Highlight this rating request. And now that it's renamed or fixed, I can open it back up and it's gone. So I already know this is a hearing impaired subtitle because it shows this contextual information. Theme music, bells jingling, and all that. So all you're going to do is kind of roll through it a little bit to see. This doesn't look like the best hearing impaired video because there's not a lot of context. Yawning, I see. But it is what it is. It's still a hearing impaired subtitle. So all I have to do is add this little extension flag, SDH, and Plex will know what it is. If I wanted to manually go look for the default subtitle, it would be named exactly the same without the SDH. And again, it's not hard to get rid of advertising. Any simple text editor that automatically saves will do it. and we'll adjust that. Okay, so I'm not going to use Filebot to create the folder structure. Up again, when I talk and think, it doesn't always translate into what I need to be doing. So I wasn't planning on this, but I'm going to copy this, not to my regular movie library because I have this movie in it. Let me decide where I'm going to copy it to. Alright, I think I'm going to copy it to a small library. I'm going to copy it to my concerts library. And I will pause the video and come back once these 3 movies are copied, and then we'll scan and we'll see how we have 3 different versions. Okay, we're down to the tail end of the file transfer, and from my desktop computer upstairs, I am getting a pretty good file transfer rate. In case you're not aware, if you want to compare this 82.9 megabits per second transfer to like a speed test, multiply this number by 8, and you'll see what the actual speed test comparison would be. With gig infrastructure and Cat6 lines, I think the maximum is someplace around 130 something, 140, where you're going to max out at the fastest transfer. Alright, so I've also decided to add one more thing to this video. Once these files are copied, I'm going to rename them slightly as the multiple editions for movie support article describes. If I just scanned in as they are now, I'll get 3 different versions under one poster. But I'm going to add this code to each individual movie file name, which will force Plex to scan them in separately, and we can more identify them once they're in. So Plex has great support articles, and if you really just start at the top here, you can find any information you want about how to set your Plex library up. Alright, so we've got to change the edition tag for at least 2 of these. So we'll leave the original alone, and we will change this one. And this one is the QVC. Or let's call it Intel. So I have to change the movie and the subtitle file. And then let's do this one. We'll make that NVIDIA. All right, let me just look at these carefully. I think we have what we need. And from another window, I'm going to bring in my server through the Brave browser. It's the Plex web app. So I pause the notifications on my computer, but not my phone. I have an Amazon delivery that's probably 10 stops away, and that was my notification sound. So let's scan these in. And I have 2 separate orders today, so there are 2 notifications. And I don't know why the browser's doing this white stuff. Chrome's doing it too once in a while. Oh, and if you want to know how long the original conversion was, I never timed it, but you can look at the timestamps on my desktop to see. Alright, so this is the full-blown version. And this is the Intel version, and this is the NVIDIA. So if we... Oh, I picked the wrong movie name with Filebot. See, there's always a mistake. There's always a mistake to be caught with. Alright, so it's 1983. How many of you caught that originally? Well, again, everything's cold because mistakes get made, and it's good to show them because you want to fix those mistakes. So we can do that easily with the help of Filebot again. Let's see if that's all I need to rename it. And I can rename directly on my NAS. Now, so it still wants to pick the wrong one, but it won't take long to manually fix these. And we'll have to run Filebot again because the database number is wrong. And let's just give it a little helping hand on this one by removing the incorrect database number. Okay, so they're all 1983. We'll have to fix the addition tags again. Or actually we don't. We can show you how they will now scan in as one poster. Let's back up. That gave us an opportunity to show how they'll scan in with one poster, and then you can manually pick the version you want. Well, I've got an automatic music library scan going on, so it's not going to scan these until that stops. So let me pause the video for hopefully the last time. Now scanning this in, and because of the changes we made by fixing the movie name. Now let's see. We still got an issue here. I think I missed one. No, I didn't miss one. Let's scan again. Don't often use this as a client app, so I'm looking to see if I'm missing the play version. Okay, so this is only showing the one movie, and this is showing the other ones that haven't scanned in properly yet. So this is where you get the play version. Alright, so let me see if I can figure this out live and talk and figure out what's going on. Oh, I bet you it's because Filebot didn't take care of this correctly. So let's manually do it. Alright, so this end of the video is kind of a screw up. Oh, I know what I'm doing. I haven't refreshed the directory yet. Alright, so the two really didn't get renamed, but we'll do that manually. I'm glad all my other Filebot videos weren't this poorly implemented. Okay, now we've got it straight. There shouldn't be an issue. And again, we have to wait for an automatic scan of the TV show library, which just finished as I clicked onto it. Alright, so the wrong one's gone, and we have 3 versions available here to play. So I think it's a great idea to use the multiple edition document to add that file name tag so they scan in separately, and that way you can just go and pick a different poster. So if you did happen to have a special firmware on a Blu-ray player and you could obtain the ultra high definition version of it, you could go in and look for a poster to match. Usually there is one, 4K Ultra HD. You could change the poster to match the edition you actually ripped. So this got kind of goofy at the end, but I appreciate everyone watching, and hopefully this is helpful if you've never ripped a disc before and prepped it for Plex. Happy Plexing.